Hi, this is Entertainment Tonight, and today we're going to be interviewing the producer of the latest film sprint. So hi Cameron, nice to meet you. I'm now going to ask you some questions about your target audience. So first question, who in general would be the audience for your film entitled Sprint?
So, from research into the BBFC and through interviews, we decided our target audience will be between people aged 12 to 21. So for our film rating, we set it to a 12A rating. This enabled for younger part of the audience to come and bring their parents. This will increase the popularity of the movie, and the parents might also like it too, so they will encourage other parents to come to the movie and bring their child to see the movie.
So what are the limitations of it being... So what are the limitations of it being that film rating?
So bearing in mind that there are age limits for films, and the age rating we chose for our film is 12A. These are some of the restrictions the BBFC put on 12A movies. There can be moderate violent scenes, but should not dwell on detail. There should be no emphasis on injuries or blood, but occasional moments may be permitted if they can be justified by their context. Like for example, blood injury in a medical drama. So we had to bear this in mind when we were filming. So we decided not to go with any sort of injury. As you can see at the end of the film, when Jason pulls out his gun, you do not see him pull the trigger, and shoots the guy on the bike helmet. This makes it more suitable for younger audience. And a younger audience means that they're more likely to spend money at the cinema and on merchandise. So in our film, there's not much gore and scenes of violence. This enabled us to lower the age limit, and this allows for younger people to come, which means they can bring their parents and see the movie.
How did the audience research affect your final decisions for the film?
Before we decided on the age, we interviewed many different people of different age groups, so that we can get their ideas on different aspects of the film, like what they expect from what is in the movie, suppose like a thriller movie. Like for example, characters and settings. One example of how the audience research inspired the film is that from what we found out from asking people and asking around, that they expect the main protagonist to be a white male. So after that we created Jason, our protagonist. He's modelled over the aspects of what we found in the audience research, because he's quite young. He's not very physically fit, but he's still a normal level of fit. He carries a gun, and his costume is quite plain and simple. We also take inspiration from his costume from characters such as Jason Bourne. And yeah, thank you for listening to my ideas and my teams, and I hope you enjoy the finished movie when it is released.
Okay, thank you Cameron. We now have some footage for your audience research that should be playing in a minute. Thank you for watching and good night.
So what are some iconic settings in thriller films, and why do you find them so iconic?
I think the film 7 is quite iconic for its settings, because it starts off where they're in a desert, and the desert's very mysterious because there's not much there, so you can't get an inkling of what's going to happen. It adds to the suspense of the movie because you don't know what's going to happen, so anything could happen. Especially with the detectives Summers and Mills, where they can do what they want and not pay the consequence for it, which makes you very anxious of what they could do or what they're going to do.
So what do you think is a typical setting in a thriller film?
I would normally expect somewhere quite empty, where there's not a lot of human activity, somewhere there's got a lot of emotion behind it. So for example, an abandoned wood or a house or something along those lines. And I would normally expect it to look run down and actually look quite battered and emotional.
So what are some iconic settings in thriller films for you, and why?
In the film Rear Window, the apartment in there, it's an old film, I know, but it's brilliant due to the place. It's really good to build up and break the tension, and it's just a really worrying and eerie place to be.
So when the protagonist isn't in the action, what sort of setting do you expect him to be in a thriller film?
Well, generally, I would tend to think the protagonist to be perhaps in a homely setting, maybe with the family, as shown in the thriller film Seven with Detective Mills.
So what are some settings you find very iconic in thriller films?
I really like the opening in Casino Royale because it's set in Madagascar. I find this a brilliant setting because it puts James Bond out of his comfort zone in a foreign country. So watching it, I'm wondering how he will adapt and cope with this unfamiliar situation.